have many versions of setups for different situations dealing with weight. I tend to have the heavier cap on this side of the third valve just because it just, for me, it centers everything better. And I notice the difference, especially when I'm playing anything between a high C and a G. And just this weight here makes the biggest difference. I have the heavy caps, I have the harmonic ones, and I'm actually really enjoying the harmonics. I've been working on these etudes that I almost got perfected, doing the Clark studies up the octave in one breath. And I noticed that I use the harmonic flex.
Hold that thought.
Yeah.
It's a FedEx driver, he uses a Mambo.
Very nice.
I've noticed as I've gotten to know you better as a player that you use different tools for different jobs.
Yeah.
So maybe you use one mouthpiece on your B-flat trumpet the bulk of the time, but you have other mouthpieces depending on how you're going to do it.
Yeah.
And you're playing around with the different valve cap or the valve clappers or whatever. So there is a school of thinking out there that's been around for years that, well, what do you need all that? Get a 3C mouthpiece and go.
Yeah.
Do everything on one mouthpiece and that's it. So, your thoughts on that?
Some guys can play with the 3C. Some guys can play with the 1.5. Some guys can do with a 5 or a 10.5. And you know what? It all comes down at how it sounds and how it sounds to you and how it makes you feel. A 3C sound is an amazing sound, but so is a 1.5C. I've heard some players playing the 1.5C that sound ridiculous. I used to play in the 1.5C, and I did lots of lead on that for years. And then I smartened up because it would make me work too hard. But the sound was there. So, you know, a 3C, it's kind of like, it's somebody else superimposing what their belief is and what their sounds, they think a sound should be. I mean, that's one of the biggest issues what I had. I found that I couldn't express what I really enjoy about the instrument. You know, I was always limited. I always had to do it somebody's way. And that's kind of how I feel with, you know, with horn selections or mouthpiece selections. It's like, you know, brand names are brand names. You know, at one point it worked amazing for somebody, and then all this hype came from, which is a great thing. It is a great thing. It's amazing. But, you know, I tried many versions of what people thought was the best thing, and it didn't work for the way I played, didn't work for my thought process of how my sound is. Until I got to this. I mean, the version I actually modified the crap out of my Yamaha to sort of imitate this. Not that I knew I was doing that, but once I found this, I was like, wow, there it is. So with the 3C mouthpiece, it does have a great sound. I'm using a 3 rim. You know, is this similar to a 3C rim or a 3 rim?
Yeah, no, same as a 3 rim.
Yeah, and you know, it works. But before this, I was using the GR67, which is much larger, and I used that for 6-7 years with no issues whatsoever. You know, until I started having to do more and more of what I was doing. That's when you start changing everything. You start changing your eating habits, your workout habits. I mean, just because you want to make that a regular thing. You know, but I mean, again, it just depends on your muscle structure in your lips, your teeth. If you have an overbite or underbite, gaps. I was doing that etude on my flugelhorn mouthpiece. Up the octave. I can do it. I can play double C's and double D's on my flugelhorn and the flugelhorn mouthpiece. You know, it's like, so, I mean, I did it on my 1.5C Bach. I can do it on there. But it's not necessarily what makes it easy, playing a bigger mouthpiece or bigger equipment. It does have a different sound, but in hindsight, or not in hindsight, but on the other side of the mic, it doesn't really matter. You know, because the sound isn't going to be clear if you're an efficient musician. You know, you don't need a big mouthpiece or big equipment. You know, like I know there's a few guys who use like large bore trumpets with 1.5C mouthpieces and or actually bigger than 1.5C for the bowl, and they have an impressive sound. But that's all they're doing. They're doing that style of music. You know, like who's the trumpet player from Snobby, Luis
Gonzalez?
Yeah, I tried his setup. Amazing. Humongous. You get this barrel of a sound, and he plays the heck out of that. All the solo pieces, and they're amazing. but I doubt he would want to play lead on that.
Well, you want to know something?
Yeah.
He plays lead in a big band in Spain.
Amazing.
And he's got an S14 AVR VST.
There you go.
There
you go.
I think there's a clip on YouTube of him playing like this blues lick on it. It was kind of funny because you think of him as this classical player.
Exactly.
And he came up to me and says, "Hey, I need a mouthpiece to play lead on." I'm going,
beautiful. I'm happy.
Right?
I'm happy to hear that. Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm sure he can do it. I mean,
yeah. But you know, he gets
but you're gonna destroy yourself, and you have to take a couple of days off in order to recuperate.
Yeah, I had an interesting conversation with him in Westchester when I was at that show a few months ago, whatever it was. The way he put it was, nowadays it's not a secret about how to play high notes.
Yeah.
It's not a secret anymore. The information's there. It doesn't mean everyone can do it right away, and you still got to spend time, and for some people it comes easier than others.
Yeah.
But the information is there.
Yeah.
It's not about that. It's about playing music.
Yeah.
Obviously, you need to be able to play the notes. But
and there's tons of methods, and they all work. All those methods have been proven, and they work.
Right.
You know, so there's no way of somebody saying I just can't do that. Like, no, you just need to put in the time. You got to be disciplined and be patient, and really want to accomplish something by doing these methods.
But I think you have to experiment too. Wouldn't you agree?
Oh yeah.
I mean, you've experimented a lot, right?
Yeah.
And I'm talking about on the trumpet.
Yeah.
Well, right.
Yeah.
I mean, because you know the buzzing the lead pipe or playing just a lead pipe with the mouthpiece only. You know, as far as I know, one of the first people to do that was Bill Adam, and he's got a kind of structured part of the routine. But you took it to a whole nother level.
Well, at that point, I actually had a few lessons with Robert Slack and Charlie Davis, and we did some Bill Adam stuff. And this is back in 2004, so that's when I first started going to Cal Arts, 2004. So I was doing their methods, and then being before that, I was doing James Stamp and Claude Gordon. The biggest one was the systematic approach to daily routine. That one is a 52-week study, 7 days a week. You do the same thing for 7 days, and then you move on. And they're long, but I did the whole thing, and it worked. So doing the Bill Adam stuff, the James Stamp, and the Claude Gordon stuff is. What I learned is you have to be able to go up and down the horn and still come back down to your starting pitch. So I kind of just put all that trial and error into something that involved essentially less face time. I mean, it was a 6-year process because I really learned and perfected all that for me. The 6 years I was at Cal Arts doing both my degrees. You know, but it's kind of a little bit of all three concepts put into one lead pipe workout. You know, because I'm doing major arpeggios, major scales, up and down multiple octaves, and coming back down to where I started on just the lead pipe.
So it's also pitch training. It's ear training as well.
Yeah, definitely. Because I actually do all the workouts with the drum. So I have if I'm working on the F major arpeggio, I have the F drum going. I use a cello drum that has all the overtones. Yeah. So I make sure I'm hearing the fifth, I'm hearing all the thirds, all that stuff. So I do that up and down the horn, and then I do the scale because you're hearing all the overtones. So I mean, doing that, and again, I can play double C's and double D's extremely in tune because of that. All the things that I try, I did the Claude Gordon, James Stamp, and Bill Adam stuff, and then I did the Caruso stuff. I did even a bunch of slur books, like the Ball In. Have you heard of that slur book? It's a great slur book. This guy from North Texas, his name is Scott Black, another crazy slur book, did all that stuff, and they all work. They all working to achieve the same thing. I just try to incorporate all that into a lead pipe, where there's no fingers involved. It's just hearing all the slotting and having the muscles and tongue placement do all the work.
Right, and you covered that earlier when you did an interview with John, so people can check that out as well.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you teach much?
Yeah, I teach.
Do you like teaching?
Yes.
Do you like doing Skype lessons if people are interested?
Definitely. Yeah.
Okay, because I think that's important. You know, it's one thing to watch a few videos online, but I'm a big, well, probably because of my age, but when I was growing up, we didn't have the internet, you know? So you went and studied from teachers, like you did too.
Yeah.
And I think there's a lot of value to that.
Definitely,
So it's good to know. Okay, so you're building a website.
Yeah, and I'm going to just put all the stuff that I've done on there, all the people that I've worked with, or I've shared the stage with, and just get that ball rolling, and there'll be a section in there for lessons and all that stuff. And I'm actually going to be working on the book for the lead pipe.
Do you have a single most memorable gig, good, bad, or otherwise?
Memorable. You know, it's too many. I have too many. Thankfully, I've been in a situation where I have been able to work with some fantastic musicians, whether it's from trombone players to pianists, and thankfully, it's hard to choose one. Unfortunately,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.